notified that you
Oh
were
yeah, they got notified. They
missing in
got a
action?
telegram I was MIA, and a few days later, they got a great big box. It was even bigger than a shoebox. My father kept that box for years, and all that was in it was my pocket New Testament that I was issued when I went in the army.
Yeah. Now, didn't your brother Bob? Didn't they get notice that your brother Bob had been killed too? Like
They
within
got
the same.
notice about him about 3 days after they got notice of him just before I was found again. I was still MIA when I got notice that he was killed. That just about
Must have been devastating for them.
Yeah, and you know what? My mother said after that she was talking to friends of hers, and she said that they prayed for both of us, but they prayed more for me because I always breaking bones and getting cut and bruised and beat up, and Bob went through life with a song and a smile, never got a lump. And they thought if either one of us got wounded or killed, it would be me for sure. And Grandma Williams made a bad mistake about that. She told people my mother and father were praying for me to die. And she said she heard it with her own ears, and that's not what my mother said. You know, my mother loved us kids. I used to devil my mother something terrible. I used to do things to piss her off on purpose, but I was still her kid.
I can't imagine that.
One day somebody gave my mother an eel. Now, I wouldn't give an eel room in my house, but both my mother and father liked eel. And I was messing around. We had a big stove poker, and I shoved the stove poker down into the eel. And when she went to cut the eel up, she ruined a beautiful knife trying to saw through that stove poker, and she didn't get a piece of meat off that eel. But she put the eel in the sink and left it. She should have known something because I heard a hell of a clunk when she threw it in the sink. I said, "Man, that don't even sound like an eel." my dad come home. She said to my dad, "Where the hell did you get that eel?" Oh, he sold it to me. Told the guy that gave it to him. He says, "Why?" He says, "I can't. The damn thing was damn tough. I can't cut it." He says, "What the hell are you talking about?" He says, "That's easy to cut." She says, "You cut it." Well, his knife just hit that stove poker. He knew something was wrong. He went looking. He stuck his hands down and pulled that stove poker off. Whoa, did my mom get mad at me? Boy, my father said to me, "You better head for the tall timber, boy. Your mama's mad at you." You can see the nicks in it where she was sawing it with a serrated knife. Took the teeth right off her serrated knife. My brother Joe says to this day, he says, "Boy," he said, "sometimes I think the Lord puts you on just to harass Mom." One time she got mad at me. I don't remember what the hell she got mad at me that time, but she threw a coffee pot. We had what they call a drippolator, aluminum bottom and a ceramic top. And between the bottom and the top was a basket you put the coffee in, and you poured hot water in the top and it dripped through. She got pissed at me. She picked that up at the kitchen table and threw it at me. And I ducked, and they hit the window. And we had them windows, there were two big panes of glass with a mutton bar down the middle. It took out both panes of glass. My father come home, he was more pissed at her for breaking the window. Just throwing the coffee pot at me. I can still remember when that coffee pot missed my head by about a quarter of an inch. And it still had coffee in it.